Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and there's so much to go over today. I think that we're kind of seeing what one of the couple of things that this Bitcoin ETF was all about. I think it was really three things. First, Bitcoin ETF, get it through the door, but to open the door to all of crypto, but also, and more importantly, to create pressure for Congress to act to really get things done. Now watch. So yesterday, Circle announced that they were doing they're going to go IPO. They had filed for IPO. Then Masari puts this up as Circle seeks an IPO after confidentially filing S1. We reflect. This is Ryan Selkis fireside chat with Jeremy Allaire. Remember this?
Do you want to just kind of talk through like your experience the last 12 months? Because if you look at stable coins and kind of Circle's performance in general, you're one of the primary beneficiaries, I'd say, of some of the rising rates, because stable coins now have some real economic tailwinds, beyond just their utility, but now their earnings power. So you've had maybe a slightly different experience as a company in the last 12 months than some of the other folks in the room. What's the silver lining here?
Yeah, I mean, so a couple things. I think, we actually publicly disclosed our 2022 financials and our first half 2023 financials.
Let's go to about
a couple $100 million of EBITDA. So we've really seen the business and cash. Yes, that's right. That's right. A lot of fintech companies don't know what that is, but what's interesting is that's allowed us both last year and this year to invest a lot. We've been investing a huge amount in product and in infrastructure. And one of the biggest investment areas is, frankly, what I broadly will call kind of liquidity and market infrastructure.
Yep.
So when you think about a digital dollar, our mission is to have sort of the largest dollar stablecoin network, the most widely used dollar stablecoin network in the world. And
what he means is money printing machine.
In order to do that, we want to make sure that wherever you are in the world, that you can very easily get access to these digital dollars and then, of course, transact with them.
Now, yes, what he means is money printing machine. That's why I keep reminding you on link to platform, link to one of my sponsors. They don't have it right this second, but you're going to need to check back because they've been putting Circle up there. I've bought it myself up there, and you need to keep checking back. I'll keep you updated on that. But it wasn't just him, okay? Anytime you see Kevin O'Leary come out, what you need to be thinking is, okay, what information has he been given behind the scenes?
If you're a purist and you're just holding Bitcoin for the long term as a digital gold, as I am, I would never buy an ETF. Why would I pay these fees? It's completely unnecessary and they add no value to me. Mm-hmm. The great news is in this event is it shows a march forward on regulation towards cryptocurrencies. In addition, I would hope this re-energizes Congress to look at digital payment systems like tokens around USDC, for example, which is based on the US dollar as a payment system. That has been out there. The Stablecoin Act.
You don't say.
Has been kind of delayed, but now we have this momentous occasion, which is great, but we're way early. We're in the first inning. And regarding 11 of these ETFs, not a chance they all survive. You should be watching AUM, assets under management. Maybe 2 or 3 will win. I would bet that behemoths like Fidelity and BlackRock end up on top because they have massive sales forces. But if institutions don't care about this, they don't care because they would never buy an ETF. They'd never pay the fees. The great news is that it's a signal to them, and particularly sovereign wealth, which I deal with. They like this development. This is a good thing for them to eventually get into crypto, that the SEC has finally approved this.
Does that allow you
as the Norway pension or the Abu Dhabi or the Dubai fund that has never held it.
Huh. Interesting. Okay, and then you got this, folks. Well, actually, no, we won't do that first. Okay. Then you got this. Now, this guy right here is Gary Cohen. When you think Gary Cohen, you need to think masters of the universe. You need to think people who run the world. You know, the guys behind the scenes that actually run things. He's that guy. Watch this.
Would you be buying in Bitcoin ETF?
So let me change that topic. Let's talk about Bitcoin ETF for a minute. I think we've missed a really important component, the whole approval process of Bitcoin and Bitcoin ETF.
Which is?
What's really behind approving a Bitcoin ETF that made it so interesting? Bitcoin is traded in the blockchain and settles real time.
Oh, settlement's what it's really about, huh?
Everything traded on an exchange in the United States is traded and settles T+2.
Yeah.
We now have introduced real-time settlement into the exchange system in the United States. That is a big move, and I think that's something that the SEC was having to deal with in approving Bitcoin. So now you've got an ETF that the underlying trades real-time and settles real-time, and you put that in a wrapper that settles T+2. Is this the day where we're going to say, in the future, when we get to real-time settlement and real-time trading, and we trade that way on the stock exchange, and is this the day where it started? And I think we got to think about that.
That's the promised land, isn't it? That's like the Holy Grail.
But it's always been over there, and now over there is in this building.
They just told you what it's really about. And then Zero Hedge was pointing out to Elizabeth Warren that money laundering in USD since 2017 far exceeded money laundering in Bitcoin, because yesterday she came out. Now, but folks, this is something that nobody's talking about, so I'm going to talk about it. Am I the only one that it felt a little weird that after all this time being anti-crypto, Gary Gensler departs from his Democratic brethren over there at the SEC and he approves this thing? And anybody out there that still thinks that it's because, Gary, there was a lawsuit and Gary just decided that he had to do the right thing. This guy, the right thing doesn't have anything to do with Gary. And we know Gary's best buddies with Elizabeth Warren, and she pounces on this time to say that the SEC made a bad decision. But here's the important part. If the SEC is going to let crypto burrow even deeper into our financial system, then it's more urgent than ever that crypto follow basic anti-money laundering rules. Almost as if the reason Gary finally did this is so that they can put in place more rules. Here's the BlackRock CEO.
I believe it goes up if the world is more frightened, if people have fearful of geopolitical risk, they're fearful of their own risk. It's no different than what gold represented over thousands of years. It is a asset class that protects you. Right. And unlike gold, where we manufacture new gold, we're almost at the ceiling of the amount of Bitcoin that we created.
When you hear somebody like Cathie Wood,
yes,
who was on our broadcast yesterday, say that her base case is that this turns into a $600,000 a Bitcoin valuation, base case, and a million plus in a super optimistic case. Are you anywhere in her realm?
I haven't thought about it. To me, what we are trying to do is offer an instrument that can store wealth. I think if it gets that even close to that high, gold will represent even a bigger value. And let's be clear, if you think it's digital gold, there's going to be a reference point between gold and Bitcoin.
Okay, and then we have this. Anytime the kid shows up, I get nervous. Anytime I see the kids show up, I don't think that it's a coincidence. This is part of the Bitcoin marketing program. They need young faces. They need guys wearing hoodies. It's a part of how you sell it. Similar to the way they sold Mark Zuckerberg, almost identical. I don't think these are coincidences. So the
Yes,
kids showed up this morning.
We've seen the validity of it as an asset, as a store of value, but not as a currency here in the United States.
I'm not, to be honest, guys, I'm not sure it totally matters. So for example, I don't own any dollars anymore. I'm sick of them. I think the real risk is owning dollars because all they do is go down. And traditionally, the game was, well, shoot, what do I own? The government's going to keep printing currency. They're in so much debt. Do I try and own a house? Do I try and own an index of stocks? Do I try and find out what Jeff Bezos is up to now that he's not the CEO of Amazon? And Bitcoin is the most accessible, most simple, best expression of this problem that, Ed, how many people in the world have to deal with fiat debasement? Give me a number. What do you think?
You answer that, Jack.
8 billion. All of us. Everybody is subject to a fiat currency that's devaluing, and everyone has access to this thing. And so if you want to use it for payments, if you want to store it, so for example, I live on credit cards. The US banking system gives me a 30-day revolving door of credit where I could spend dollars without needing to own those pieces of trash. And so I just sit in Bitcoin all day. I spend on credit. And so to me, I don't know. Anyway, does that answer your question? I think
Jack,
it doesn't totally matter.
Jack, we have 5 seconds. Where does Bitcoin peak in 2024?
I think we see new highs this year, and I think this thing lands between $250K to $1 million, around the $500,000 range at some point in 25. I think there's a lot of money printing that the government's going to have to do, and this is the fastest.
All right. Look at this. This was one of the more interesting things that came out of yesterday. This was Vanguard's statement on the spot Bitcoin ETF. Spot Bitcoin ETFs will not be available for purchase on the Vanguard platform. Our perspective is that these products do not align with our offer focused on asset classes such as equities, bonds, and cash, which Vanguard views as the building blocks of a well-balanced long-term investment portfolio. Now, by coincidence, John Deaton had pointed out many times that Vanguard manages 90% of Gary Gensler's personal fortune, worth $120 million. During his first 18 months as chairman, he met 7 times with Vanguard. And then here's another, some of the people are leaving Vanguard now. This is one of those tweets. And I wanted to show you this because, let me see if there was any more. We'll get to, it wasn't just Vanguard, it was Vanguard, Citi, Merrill Lynch, Edward Jones, UBS. They're all decrying that they won't use it. But I wanted to show you this because this was put together by some guys 2 or maybe 3 or 4 years ago now. These guys were some really good. They had a YouTube channel. I think they were out of the UK. I'm trying to remember what their names were. It's been a while. But anyway, they had put a presentation together where they were tying Vanguard in with Ripple and everything that Ripple had going on, and BlackRock and all of that. Really interesting presentation where Vanguard was right there in the center. So you have all these companies that are saying, nope, we're not doing the Bitcoin ETF. Then Bank of America, Merrill Lynch joined Vanguard. Let me see if we had any more. Now, I'll get to that in the next video because I'm running over. There's a couple of those things I want to show. I'll go to that next. But here's what we're going to talk about in DAIXRP.com. We're going to talk about my greatest fear. If we know anything by now, we know that we are surrounded by lies, liars, and evil. And I'm going to talk about what my greatest fear is. And it doesn't have to do with crypto, but my greatest fear for this world right now. After everything we've been through, all bets are off. And so that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. If they want to hear what my greatest fear in this world is, go to DAIXRP.com and sign up. So here we go.